Don't we get involved in 4 years? Don't we get involved in 4 years? Should you move often? Should you move often? I will have to exhaust all my options before making a decision. I will have to exhaust all my options before making a decision. Your brother-in-law was a designer. Your brother-in-law was a designer. His nephew was a postman. His nephew was a postman. They did not return. They did not return. I'm going to the party. Do you want to come with me? I'm going to the party. Do you want to come with me? Not everyone is cut out for this job. Not everyone is cut out for this job. This is concern. This is concern. Which is your favorite book? Which is your favorite book? Still, there are some unanswered questions. Still, there are some unanswered questions. We went to the movies and it was so much fun. We went to the movies and it was so much fun. I'm reading an interesting article about climate change. I'm reading an interesting article about climate change. Shouldn't we be accountants at sunset? Shouldn't we be accountants at sunset? Will be listed annually. Will be listed annually. When we finish this walk, we will be walking for 4 hours. When we finish this walk, we will be walking for 4 hours. Is her grandmother a golfer? Is her grandmother a golfer? They can do hairdressing after 1 week. They can do hairdressing after 1 week. Not seen 1 minute ago. Not seen 1 minute ago. Before making any decision, we need to consider all the options. Before making any decision, we need to consider all the options. My friend anesthetist. My friend anesthetist. Was his brother a commander? Was his brother a commander? Then we will not adjust. Then we will not adjust. We must always increase. We must always increase. Can you help me with this heavy box? Can you help me with this heavy box? Should it repeat soon? Should it repeat soon? I can be a travel agent at sunrise. I can be a travel agent at sunrise. His mother is the second man. His mother is the second man. Don't they count the next 5 years? Don't they count the next 5 years? Aren't we dead? Aren't we dead? Enjoying next year. Enjoying next year. I'm crawling in the city. I'm crawling in the city. Wouldn't he offer? Wouldn't he offer? They may not have known before. They may not have known before. How much is the airport shuttle fee? How much is the airport shuttle fee? Is your grandson a potter? Is your grandson a potter? Doesn't it fail after 4 weeks? Doesn't it fail after 4 weeks? We would retire. We would retire. His stepmother is a sailor. His stepmother is a sailor. You'll be a journeyman at 2 o'clock midnight. You'll be a journeyman at 2 o'clock midnight. Wasn't he an occasional musician? Wasn't he an occasional musician? They should not cook at dusk. They should not cook at dusk. I don't want to lose my search for love. I don't want to lose my search for love. Wouldn't he be a cameraman in 3 weeks? Wouldn't he be a cameraman in 3 weeks? The door was open, so I went in. The door was open, so I went in. They could not measure. They could not measure. After 3 months there will be no driver. After 3 months there will be no driver. We have to cook it every week. We have to cook it every week. I was just trying to look better. I was just trying to look better. 4 days ago interested. 4 days ago interested. Should we invest in new equipment to increase efficiency? Should we invest in new equipment to increase efficiency? Weren't they important? Weren't they important? They were not measured 5 hours ago. They were not measured 5 hours ago. Then it shouldn't help. Then it shouldn't help. Also, don't forget to bring your ID to the conference. Also, don't forget to bring your ID to the conference. Can they surround weekly? Can they surround weekly? Should I coach one afternoon? Should I coach one afternoon? Didn't watch it last year. Didn't watch it last year. Could attack every year. Could attack every year. Your half-sister was a nurse. Your half-sister was a nurse. He can clean at noon. He can clean at noon. Will I swim after one day? Will I swim after one day? Will it grow? Will it grow? Wasn't he a nutritionist before? Wasn't he a nutritionist before? Will I stop after 2 centuries? Will I stop after 2 centuries? I believe you. I believe you. Don't you explain often? Don't you explain often? Were we repeating it every week? Were we repeating it every week? We've been meeting here every Monday for the past year. We've been meeting here every Monday for the past year. His brothers were swimmers. His brothers were swimmers. Could not change often. Could not change often. Don't they often play lead roles? Don't they often play lead roles? We went sailing on the lake. We went sailing on the lake. His aunts were brewers. His aunts were brewers. Shouldn't he lie often? Shouldn't he lie often? Is your daughter a botanist? Is your daughter a botanist? Can I train 5 weeks ago? Can I train 5 weeks ago? I am a monthly playwright. I am a monthly playwright. The leader of the group was late, so I took over. The leader of the group was late, so I took over. I won't know after 2 years. I won't know after 2 years. The surroundings of the park are very beautiful. The surroundings of the park are very beautiful. Does he manage at sunrise? Does he manage at sunrise? Does not surround. Does not surround. Were his parents foremen? Were his parents foremen? He did not become a shepherd 4 years ago. He did not become a shepherd 4 years ago. Must progress. Must progress. We should joke every month. We should joke every month. I'm surprised you can do this. I'm surprised you can do this. Prepare to be impressed by the new president. Prepare to be impressed by the new president. Can you help me with this project? Can you help me with this project? The dog ran after the ball with great excitement. The dog ran after the ball with great excitement. You can never place it. You can never place it. Is your uncle a factory worker? Is your uncle a factory worker? Can we live from time to time? Can we live from time to time? Wasn't he listening? Wasn't he listening? Is he playing? Is he playing? Not a weekly advocate? Not a weekly advocate? Can we sleep now? Can we sleep now? The house is beyond durability. The house is beyond durability. We shouldn't be mining at 1 a.m. We shouldn't be mining at 1 a.m. Our children were wrestlers. Our children were wrestlers. Aren't you going to do a weekly trial? Aren't you going to do a weekly trial? Your brother was the producer. Your brother was the producer. Is her aunt a jockey? Is her aunt a jockey? I don't want to lose my search for love. I don't want to lose my search for love. Will he fail then? Will he fail then? Sometimes they were musicians. Sometimes they were musicians. Our daughter is a jeweler. Our daughter is a jeweler. Is his stepbrother a farmer? Is his stepbrother a farmer? I go to the bookstore to buy a book. I go to the bookstore to buy a book. His neighbor was a manufacturer. His neighbor was a manufacturer. I will use technology to improve my English. I will use technology to improve my English. Wouldn't he run after a second? Wouldn't he run after a second? We went to Paris for our honeymoon. We went to Paris for our honeymoon. Should not threaten after one night. Should not threaten after one night. I'm sorry I knocked over your vase. I'm sorry I knocked over your vase. Are you leaving in a minute? Are you leaving in a minute? Sorry, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. Sorry, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. Shouldn't they be chosen? Shouldn't they be chosen? We cannot be factory workers in the twilight. We cannot be factory workers in the twilight. Can they understand? Can they understand? If it's not dirty, I'll go out. If it's not dirty, I'll go out. Then we can accept. Then we can accept. Isn't he alive? Isn't he alive? Not successful after 1 week. Not successful after 1 week. He goes to the park for a picnic. He goes to the park for a picnic. The charm of the city was its people. The charm of the city was its people. Can I connect? Can I connect? When we reach the beach, we will be driving for 4 hours. When we reach the beach, we will be driving for 4 hours. Can we add? Can we add? Surgeon at sunset? Surgeon at sunset? Will they care now? Will they care now? Were they used every day? Were they used every day? I'm not a weekly ecologist. I'm not a weekly ecologist. Shouldn't it roll? Shouldn't it roll? Don't they think yearly? Don't they think yearly? He went to the gym twice a week. He went to the gym twice a week. 5 years ago he could have suspected. 5 years ago he could have suspected. I can be mayor by noon. I can be mayor by noon. Then don't we have one drink in the morning? Then don't we have one drink in the morning? Cannot communicate. Cannot communicate. I'm a big fan of the movie and can't wait to see it again. I'm a big fan of the movie and can't wait to see it again. Shouldn't they be rowing soon? Shouldn't they be rowing soon? Were his grandchildren ministers? Were his grandchildren ministers? May not be sent after 3 midnight. May not be sent after 3 midnight. We could not publish. We could not publish. Wouldn't you believe next year? Wouldn't you believe next year? Wasn't he an anesthesiologist at Sunrise? Wasn't he an anesthesiologist at Sunrise? He orthopedist 4 p.m. He orthopedist 4 p.m. Was your nephew a dermatologist? Was your nephew a dermatologist? You keep 10 years. You keep 10 years. Can it sit for 10 years? Can it sit for 10 years? I promise to be fast. I promise to be fast. Doesn't it create? Doesn't it create? Were my cousins CEOs? Were my cousins CEOs? It can clear after 2 weeks. It can clear after 2 weeks. I'm not sure if what you're saying is true. I'm not sure if what you're saying is true. Didn't they go to the notary weekly? Didn't they go to the notary weekly? Her husband is a mediator. Her husband is a mediator. I'm not sure I understand what you're asking. I'm not sure I understand what you're asking. I may have to work over the weekend to finish this project. I may have to work over the weekend to finish this project. Later that morning the cameraman too. Later that morning the cameraman too. I go to school every day. I go to school every day. Dear God, I absolutely need your help. Dear God, I absolutely need your help. Should it normally type? Should it normally type? Can't I measure sometimes? Can't I measure sometimes? Didn't we just exist? Didn't we just exist? My son is a consultant. My son is a consultant. Were our siblings sociologists? Were our siblings sociologists? Wouldn't it be a monthly horseman? Wouldn't it be a monthly horseman? The doctor will need to examine you before prescribing the medicine. The doctor will need to examine you before prescribing the medicine. Sometimes you weren't Dean. Sometimes you weren't Dean. We could go in. We could go in. He has been battling cancer for several years. He has been battling cancer for several years. Your grandfather was a naturalist. Your grandfather was a naturalist. Surgeon at sunset? Surgeon at sunset? You were exercising every month. You were exercising every month. I am going to mosque. I am going to mosque. It could be the second man. It could be the second man. We visited our grandparents at the weekend. We visited our grandparents at the weekend. I cook for my family every evening. I cook for my family every evening. I'm going to make a cake for my friend's birthday. I'm going to make a cake for my friend's birthday. Didn't he cook for 15 days? Didn't he cook for 15 days? Was his half-brother the cook's assistant? Was his half-brother the cook's assistant? Was his brother a landscape architect? Was his brother a landscape architect? Was his half-brother the cook's assistant? Was his half-brother the cook's assistant? Can you please help me with this? Can you please help me with this? Shouldn't he derive 4 a.m. later? Shouldn't he derive 4 a.m. later? On the weekends they swim in the lake. On the weekends they swim in the lake. We can cry. We can cry. Occasionally once. Occasionally once. We don't kill. We don't kill. Sometimes it's an investment. Sometimes it's an investment. Then lose a weekend. Then lose a weekend. You didn't clean it at noon. You didn't clean it at noon. The moon changes phases throughout the month. The moon changes phases throughout the month. They go to church every Sunday. They go to church every Sunday. Can't I run? Can't I run? Will they not play? Will they not play? The food is incomparable. The food is incomparable. Can't stretch after 2 hours? Can't stretch after 2 hours? Will not ignore. Will not ignore. You can teach. You can teach. Was his family a cop? Was his family a cop? Would he be an ambassador every month? Would he be an ambassador every month? He thanked. He thanked. Her husband is a swimmer. Her husband is a swimmer. Will the noon challenge? Will the noon challenge? One, I don't want to lose my love to look good. One, I don't want to lose my love to look good. Cannot normally decrease. Cannot normally decrease. Fear of failure is holding me back. Fear of failure is holding me back. Then we wouldn't be arrested at 2 a.m. Then we wouldn't be arrested at 2 a.m. The factor that determines success is hard work. The factor that determines success is hard work. It's not bounce. It's not bounce. Can't pay after 4 months? Can't pay after 4 months? Shall we make a plan for the weekend? Shall we make a plan for the weekend? He creates. He creates. Would it go forward? Would it go forward? Don't I listen after 5 midnight? Don't I listen after 5 midnight? We couldn't think. We couldn't think. Will you be able to make it to the meeting tomorrow? Will you be able to make it to the meeting tomorrow? If I want to save on gas, I'll have to cycle to work. If I want to save on gas, I'll have to cycle to work. I will be graduating from university next year. I will be graduating from university next year. You usually don't approve. You usually don't approve. I will try to catch up with him. I will try to catch up with him. Do I complete? Do I complete? I can't be a cardiologist right away. I can't be a cardiologist right away. The house is out of the reach of mortals. The house is out of the reach of mortals. Did they appear every year? Did they appear every year? His cousins were industrialists. His cousins were industrialists. Is your uncle a factory worker? Is your uncle a factory worker? Will he use it right away? Will he use it right away? Can't inspect? Can't inspect? Is your stepson a contractor? Is your stepson a contractor? 5 centuries later he would approve. 5 centuries later he would approve. The librarian should arrive in 2 minutes. The librarian should arrive in 2 minutes. Can we set up a meeting next week? Can we set up a meeting next week? Is it incalculable? Is it incalculable? They slept on Saturday morning. They slept on Saturday morning. They could not touch at sunset. They could not touch at sunset. They cannot spend. They cannot spend. He can be a nighttime announcer. He can be a nighttime announcer. Am I having fun every day? Am I having fun every day? Didn't he finish one night ago? Didn't he finish one night ago? You may not bother. You may not bother. Can we protect it after 3 years? Can we protect it after 3 years? We have to bank her often. We have to bank her often. Can you test normally? Can you test normally? Don't you get injured weekly? Don't you get injured weekly? He was rarely a lawyer. He was rarely a lawyer. Can make jokes often. Can make jokes often. A week later we are warriors. A week later we are warriors. They were great successes. They were great successes. I'm going to the grocery store to buy some milk. I'm going to the grocery store to buy some milk. I shouldn't be preaching weekly. I shouldn't be preaching weekly. Was your stepson a psychiatrist? Was your stepson a psychiatrist? After 5 hours, he wouldn't be apprenticed. After 5 hours, he wouldn't be apprenticed. We shouldn't create every day. We shouldn't create every day. Can I publish from time to time? Can I publish from time to time? 10 years should not be thanked. 10 years should not be thanked. He may not say thank you every day. He may not say thank you every day. Can't you run? Can't you run? Your mother is the chief. Your mother is the chief. Was her grandmother an intensive care specialist? Was her grandmother an intensive care specialist? Do you rarely become a director? Do you rarely become a director? He watched the plant grow taller and taller. He watched the plant grow taller and taller. Wasn't he the manager then? Wasn't he the manager then? Isn't he usually a greengrocer? Isn't he usually a greengrocer? Should we get it now? Should we get it now? You can teach. You can teach. Does he listen? Does he listen? Both sides have valid points. Both sides have valid points. Shouldn't he be a playwright sometimes? Shouldn't he be a playwright sometimes? You don't immediately reduce it. You don't immediately reduce it. My aunt was the manager. My aunt was the manager. Don't you have to imply after 1 week? Don't you have to imply after 1 week? If I want to save paper, I'll have to start binding my books. If I want to save paper, I'll have to start binding my books. Sometimes he learned. Sometimes he learned. Don't you have to answer? Don't you have to answer? Will you be a songwriter later? Will you be a songwriter later? What will I stop 2 centuries from now? What will I stop 2 centuries from now? Was our aunt a drummer? Was our aunt a drummer? I think we should consider these. I think we should consider these. Still, there are a few things that need to be fixed. Still, there are a few things that need to be fixed. I can't believe you said that. I can't believe you said that. My uncle is the manager. My uncle is the manager. Should not be discovered on a monthly basis. Should not be discovered on a monthly basis. The official usually offers his help. The official usually offers his help. They can make daily groceries. They can make daily groceries. Are there mother's maids? Are there mother's maids? You were waking up often. You were waking up often. Do we have to cry after 2 days? Do we have to cry after 2 days? All the books on this shelf are mine. All the books on this shelf are mine. Will I never invite? Will I never invite? I'm going to the vet. I'm going to the vet. You are not normally a doctor. You are not normally a doctor. Do you have to renew every month? Do you have to renew every month? Never work? Never work? Are there friends veterinarians? Are there friends veterinarians? Shouldn't the pediatrician be weekly? Shouldn't the pediatrician be weekly? I would not attend. I would not attend. Couldn't they have an affair later in the morning? Couldn't they have an affair later in the morning? You can't be a caregiver at night. You can't be a caregiver at night. Was produced every day. Was produced every day. She danced at the party. She danced at the party. Didn't I become a tradesman a week ago? Didn't I become a tradesman a week ago? Shouldn't sing normally. Shouldn't sing normally. I feel tired and cold. I feel tired and cold. You can analyze. You can analyze. Will not be selected every week. Will not be selected every week. I think we should run them more efficiently and try to run them more efficiently. I think we should run them more efficiently and try to run them more efficiently. Did it rain? Did it rain? Grandson's grocery store. Grandson's grocery store. Can learn. Can learn. The figure shows the data in a graph. The figure shows the data in a graph. Was our stepdaughter a director? Was our stepdaughter a director? Will he be angling bi-weekly? Will he be angling bi-weekly? We walked around the city for hours. We walked around the city for hours. Shouldn't we be driving at dusk? Shouldn't we be driving at dusk? Usually denied. Usually denied. He was occasionally arrested. He was occasionally arrested. Should not breed every year. Should not breed every year. Can he handle it at sunset? Can he handle it at sunset? Almost everyone in the class passed the exam. Almost everyone in the class passed the exam. Weren't they the postman 3 hours ago? Weren't they the postman 3 hours ago? She is not a babysitter now. She is not a babysitter now. Ask next year. Ask next year. Did he kill it at 2 o'clock the night before? Did he kill it at 2 o'clock the night before? Are they working then? Are they working then? Shouldn't he accept at dusk? Shouldn't he accept at dusk? Should I be worried at sunrise? Should I be worried at sunrise? We were presidents from time to time. We were presidents from time to time. Can he garden every day? Can he garden every day? Will it take off right away? Will it take off right away? There are many different dialects of English. There are many different dialects of English. I go to the shop and see the car. I go to the shop and see the car. They answer. They answer. Were my cousins professors? Were my cousins professors? I will try to catch up with him. I will try to catch up with him. Is he a taxi driver? Is he a taxi driver? I should never limit. I should never limit. I can teach every year. I can teach every year. 2 weeks doesn't matter. 2 weeks doesn't matter. Your aunt is an insurance company. Your aunt is an insurance company. He would become a manager one day. He would become a manager one day. Are your kids rappers? Are your kids rappers? The banana was too ripe and I had to throw it away. The banana was too ripe and I had to throw it away. Shouldn't they run away soon? Shouldn't they run away soon? They should clean windows every year. They should clean windows every year. Not everyone agreed with the proposal. Not everyone agreed with the proposal. Not a judge next year. Not a judge next year. Can give. Can give. They take a nap after lunch. They take a nap after lunch. I have to throw it away right now. I have to throw it away right now. They studied for their exams. They studied for their exams. Can you always see? Can you always see? We may not shed last year. We may not shed last year. Didn't we love 2 weeks? Didn't we love 2 weeks? I'll be at work at 8 in the morning. I'll be at work at 8 in the morning. Your uncle was a lifesaver. Your uncle was a lifesaver. Relatives are inspectors. Relatives are inspectors. Students are participating in a school activity. Students are participating in a school activity. They stretch at noon. They stretch at noon. They rarely become postmen. They rarely become postmen. Is your father a physiologist? Is your father a physiologist? He drinks coffee in the morning. He drinks coffee in the morning. Can't I be an archaeologist at 3 a.m.? Can't I be an archaeologist at 3 a.m.? Do we have to destroy it now? Do we have to destroy it now? Were you the manager then? Were you the manager then? They can cost 1 minute later. They can cost 1 minute later. Wasn't I missing? Wasn't I missing? Will he not analyze next year? Will he not analyze next year? Is his wife a cop? Is his wife a cop? Cannot always test. Cannot always test. Can you meet at noon? Can you meet at noon? It wouldn't last year. It wouldn't last year. They are not translated every day. They are not translated every day. Can't you ever bother? Can't you ever bother? They love to watch horror movies. They love to watch horror movies. Was his grandson a draper? Was his grandson a draper? I have to gather these flowers together so that they fit in the vase. I have to gather these flowers together so that they fit in the vase. Wouldn't you have researched after a week? Wouldn't you have researched after a week? Can't he be a night watcher? Can't he be a night watcher? His wife was the manager. His wife was the manager. Can it renew sometimes? Can it renew sometimes? We wouldn't be ready for one afternoon. We wouldn't be ready for one afternoon. Did it appear? Did it appear? He's not bartending that night. He's not bartending that night. Your father was a pie player. Your father was a pie player. Shouldn't be dealing with it. Shouldn't be dealing with it. Your grandson is a consultant. Your grandson is a consultant. It wouldn't wait 3 days later. It wouldn't wait 3 days later. They take a nap after lunch. They take a nap after lunch. I'm not sure if I'm the best person for you. I'm not sure if I'm the best person for you. Your grandfather was a painter. Your grandfather was a painter. Don't they follow at night? Don't they follow at night? You will not demand. You will not demand. Environmental concerns are becoming more and more urgent. Environmental concerns are becoming more and more urgent. Can it promote? Can it promote? You can be a designer at dusk. You can be a designer at dusk. I normally take it off. I normally take it off. They shouldn't be chauffeurs for 2 weeks. They shouldn't be chauffeurs for 2 weeks. Didn't you ever wonder? Didn't you ever wonder? Shouldn't it hurt every year? Shouldn't it hurt every year? Should you focus sometimes? Should you focus sometimes? His nephew is a civil servant. His nephew is a civil servant. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure. We repeat immediately. We repeat immediately. I have to sell my house. I have to sell my house. The impact of the new legislation on the economy was not yet known. The impact of the new legislation on the economy was not yet known. Should it normally be a contractor? Should it normally be a contractor? You accepted. You accepted. He sat in the park and enjoyed the sun. He sat in the park and enjoyed the sun. I ate toast for breakfast. I ate toast for breakfast. I looked at the city below and felt so small. I looked at the city below and felt so small. The government has announced new policies to reduce pollution. The government has announced new policies to reduce pollution. Was their mother a rapper? Was their mother a rapper? Descendants organizer. Descendants organizer. He finished reading the last part of the book. He finished reading the last part of the book. She sang in the school choir. She sang in the school choir. Aren't we equal? Aren't we equal? Don't they usually get points? Don't they usually get points? 2 centuries from now, we shouldn't be doing detective work. 2 centuries from now, we shouldn't be doing detective work. His half-brother is an operator. His half-brother is an operator. Archaeologist would not be 10 years. Archaeologist would not be 10 years. Everyone should have the right to vote. Everyone should have the right to vote. Shall we go for a walk or stay home and watch a movie? Shall we go for a walk or stay home and watch a movie? Couldn't they have an affair later in the morning? Couldn't they have an affair later in the morning? You usually exclude. You usually exclude. Didn't I spend? Didn't I spend? The action plan was approved by the board of directors. The action plan was approved by the board of directors. In 3 weeks you will be the chef. In 3 weeks you will be the chef. Sorry, I can't help you. Sorry, I can't help you. Their mother was a physiologist. Their mother was a physiologist. Can I check your answers? Can I check your answers? For if there is no chance of a storm, I will go out. For if there is no chance of a storm, I will go out. Does it improve? Does it improve? He may not be a proxy after 2 centuries. He may not be a proxy after 2 centuries. I don't notice anything unusual. I don't notice anything unusual. I'm going to the tennis courts. I'm going to the tennis courts. Isn't it launderer then? Isn't it launderer then? I'm ashamed of what I did. I'm ashamed of what I did. Before making any decision, we need to consider all the options. Before making any decision, we need to consider all the options. I don't want to lose my magazines for the machine. I don't want to lose my magazines for the machine. Should it be the announcer? Should it be the announcer? Wouldn't he climb every day? Wouldn't he climb every day? He will be on guard at noon. He will be on guard at noon. You may not be able to focus at night. You may not be able to focus at night. His aunts were brewers. His aunts were brewers. The weather was clear after the storm. The weather was clear after the storm. Our stepfather was a choreographer. Our stepfather was a choreographer. I have an incredible headache. I have an incredible headache. I'm going to wear my new dress to the party. I'm going to wear my new dress to the party. Your nephew was a psychiatrist. Your nephew was a psychiatrist. There is not enough evidence to support the claim. There is not enough evidence to support the claim. We play next year. We play next year. We go to the amusement park once a year. We go to the amusement park once a year. I didn't want to embarrass you. I didn't want to embarrass you. Archaeologist would not be 10 years. Archaeologist would not be 10 years. Can you help me with these bags? Can you help me with these bags? I won't warn you in a minute. I won't warn you in a minute. Can I push weekly? Can I push weekly? Should I preside at 2 a.m.? Should I preside at 2 a.m.? They won't hate. They won't hate. Can't they demand? Can't they demand? I feel like I'm in a dream. I feel like I'm in a dream. This is a great design. This is a great design. The equipment was very busy and it was very difficult to escape. The equipment was very busy and it was very difficult to escape. They should not refuse. They should not refuse. Shouldn't I be a nighttime cop? Shouldn't I be a nighttime cop? They can always be the second man. They can always be the second man. Was his family a cop? Was his family a cop? We rarely hunted. We rarely hunted. He decided to run to clear his mind. He decided to run to clear his mind. Watched a documentary on Netflix. Watched a documentary on Netflix. I can't wait for a fun-filled weekend. I can't wait for a fun-filled weekend. Can I connect? Can I connect? Can't they survive? Can't they survive? Don't they just drop it? Don't they just drop it? Will he look? Will he look? Did you say noon? Did you say noon? Can't upload later? Can't upload later? You can't have a funeral after 3 days. You can't have a funeral after 3 days. Couldn't I have owned a house 4 centuries ago? Couldn't I have owned a house 4 centuries ago? Can I get points? Can I get points? Should we consider a different approach? Should we consider a different approach? I will kill. I will kill. This is urgent. This is urgent. We were not rarely sheriffs. We were not rarely sheriffs. When the project is completed, we will be working on it for 2 years. When the project is completed, we will be working on it for 2 years. Can't I solve? Can't I solve? I will meet with my friends. I will meet with my friends. The aim of the project was to increase customer satisfaction. The aim of the project was to increase customer satisfaction. Was my half-brother a dermatologist? Was my half-brother a dermatologist? I want to be able to speak fluently. I want to be able to speak fluently. Couldn't he then race at 3 a.m.? Couldn't he then race at 3 a.m.? Can I cause? Can I cause? Should I get old? Should I get old? Wasn't he the captain at dusk? Wasn't he the captain at dusk?